Hello, good morning, and welcome to your very amazing show. It's Find Your Voice with the Oxygen, and I'm excited to be here this morning on the show. I want to provide you great value. So we're talking about something pretty interesting, and today it's a whole month, and the series for this month is going to be on mastery. Mastery is very important because for you to be great at anything, you really need to master it, and that's why I'll be talking about mastery. But for this particular episode, I want to share with you what I have titled, carefully so, precision. Okay, so precision is very important, and that's why we'll be talking about it this morning at this time. So I don't know, whatever time it is you're watching this, it could be morning for you, afternoon or evening, or whatever time zone you find yourself, but just know that this month of July we'll be talking about mastery, and this very particular episode is on precision. Yes, so when you consider these factors and you try to ask yourself, why is this important, you will understand that there's a reason for it. You see, mastery begins with one very powerful habit, and when you begin to think about how important this habit is, then you can begin to grow and do better as a communication person. And so I want to share with you some of the things that matter in precision. Have you ever listened to someone speak for 10 minutes and then you still wonder what they are trying to say? Now that happens because you just suddenly you realize that this guy, this lady, this person is not driving home the point very well. Clarity is missing. They need to create more clarity, and in fact, too many words never creates clarity. It is not about how much you say. It's not about how much you say, really. Okay? You see, when there are too many words in a conversation, it means that the person is trying to hide their weak thinking. And this is where precision comes into play. I have been engaged in conversations over the years, and I've come to realize that when people who have clarity speak, they speak with precision. Right? Because the world's most effective communication, communicators have one thing in common. They know exactly what they want to say. This is something that makes me get pretty much excited a lot more when I deal with the subject matter of communication, because I find out that those who are great communicators, they don't second guess themselves. They know exactly what they want to say. They choose their words carefully. In fact, they communicate with intention. And this is what we're talking about on this show. That is precision. When you know exactly what you're talking about and you choose your words carefully, you have crossed the boundaries and stepped into a new realm called precision. Now, whether you're presenting in a boardroom, or you're negotiating a contract, or you're preaching a sermon on the pulpit, on the podium, or you're leading a team, or speaking to your family, clarity is one of the greatest gifts that you can give to your audience. Clarity. It's one of the greatest gifts you can give to your audience. I was engaged in a conversation sometime last week where I went to have a meeting, and I was in the waiting room, and a conversation ensued, and I began to provide my perspective to the conversation, and it was very clear, no ambiguity. I was straight to point, few words, and I was like, this is my take, and I laid out what I believed on the table, and that sparked another level of conversation. That, my friend, is what precision is about, right? And that makes people admire you. Leaders begin to look at you and say, wow, I like to work with this person, right? And that is the one reason people trust you, because you communicate with clarity. Your message is consistent, your words align with your actions, and then your communication reduces confusion instead of creating it. This is, if you flip it and you have anybody that has the qualities I just listed, you want to work with such a person. You want to follow such a person, because precision builds confidence. And this is something I've come to know. It's something very powerful, and I like you to note that precision builds confidence, right? It tells people that you understand your subject and you respect their time. You understand the subject pretty clearly and you respect their time, because we're living in a world that is fast-paced. People don't just need information, they need clarity. There's a lot that's been happening. There's a lot that's been said. You hear a lot of things. When you tune into the radio, there's so much going on. You're right. And people need clarity. People just don't want to have conversations. People don't just want information. They need clarity. And for you to get to the realm of clarity where we talk about precision, one thing I guarantee you need to do, you need to practice before your performance, right? Many people have come across people who just want to speak, but you need to speak with confidence, right? You need to be willing to put in the discipline that is required for you to speak with confidence. And master communicators are made long before they stand behind the microphone. You see, you don't just walk up to the mic. You take your time and build precision. You take your time and develop what you need to do. What you need to present to the audience, and ensure that you are clear as day. You're clear with your message. You're precise about what you need to say, and you say it. You don't beat about the bush, as they say. All right? How do you achieve that? You rehearse. You refine. You receive feedback, and then you improve continuously. There are presentations I prepare, I want to go over. I sit down with my team, we look at it again and again and again. We refine it. I rehearse over and over again. I receive feedback from people, and then I continuously improve on it. You see, that is why this month is a month for mastery. That's why we're taking out time to talk about mastery. Because you see, excellence is not an event. Excellence is not an event. It is a process. And a few people don't really like process. They want it to happen just right now. But life doesn't work that way. You see, you need to understand that every presentation, every conversation, and every opportunity is a chance to become a little better than yesterday. Yesterday I was in a conversation, and so I was saying, sometimes we're tempted to benchmark our lives with other people. We're tempted to look at what others are doing and then feel that we should be able to do that, or we should be at the same level with such people, and then because we're not, we feel bad. And I said, hey, wait a minute, step on the brakes. I'm not given to comparing myself with nobody. I compare myself with myself. I have a benchmark that I've set. I have a target that I've looked forward to achieving. And every day I wake up, I look at where I was yesterday, and I tell myself I'm going to be better than I was yesterday. I'm going to do more today. I'm going to achieve more today. That is growth. Now, I don't ever take time to say, oh, you see this guy, I want to be him. No, never. I will never be anyone else. I'm not a cheap copy. You are not a cheap copy. What you need to do is continually build your capacity and improve. Be better than you were at yesterday. That's the golden rule here that would help you. All right? So what you need to do to improve your capacity is what I see people do a lot. People ask me most times, how do I become an exceptional communicator? And that question comes to me most times, and I sit back and I tell them this. My answer is always the same, and this is it. I'm going to give it to you right now in case you're asking the same question in your mind. Do not chase perfection. See, the reason I say this is I used to be that perfectionist guy. I used to wait until everything is cleaned out, everything is perfect, everything is in order before I move. And I lost a lot of time. So I realized the hard way that you don't need to pursue or chase perfection. Rather, you need to chase improvement. Perfection is a state, and I bet you it's difficult to attain it. But if your goal is improvement, you will get to that state without even knowing that you're there. And you will continue to stay there because you look forward to getting better every passing day. So don't chase perfection. Chase improvement. That's what I do. I'd like you to look at the set we have here right now. When we started out, my first set of videos weren't this good. In fact, I was using a phone, and the phone quality was so bad that one of my close relatives came to me. In fact, my daughter precisely, she said to me that, Daddy, you're bigger than this now. You can do better. The quality of your videos, they are not good at all. But your content is great. The video quality is the problem. And I say, yeah, I have what I'm doing. What I'm just making do with what I have. And I kept chasing improvement. I kept working the lighting with the poor camera. I was working the lighting. I was working the editing myself until I got some money and I bought the camera we're using right now. I bought LED lights, and look at the set. This was not what we had when we started. Today we've upgraded, we've done a whole lot of work, and it's better. The microphone, you name it. Things have improved because I chased improvement. All right? And how do you chase improvement? Read a book. Pick a book that's connected to what you're pursuing. Read a book. All right? Practice one more presentation. Ask for feedback. Observe great communicators. Watch them. Observe what they do. Refine your delivery. Keep on doing something. You see, the small disciplines that you embrace each and every day is what becomes the mastery that people admire tomorrow. I stand on stage and speak today, and people are like, wow, my God, I want to be like you. I get it every time. I want to speak like you. If only I can just speak like you. And I smile at them. You know why? Guess what? There was a time in my life when I took hold of the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary. I think it was the 5th or 6th edition. And I was reading it like I was reading a textbook. Of course, it's a textbook, by the way. And I was reading from A. I would look at the pronunciation of the words. I would check it out, and I would try to pronounce the words exactly how they appear in the dictionary. I would look at their meanings. I was reading books. I just kept improving my vocabulary, my word bank. I just kept doing that on and on and on. And so when I speak, I don't lack words. Why? Because I have a lot of words in my word bank that are just lying out there in my brain. And when I need them, the brain pulls out what is relevant for me to use. Right now, as I'm speaking to you, I'm sharing with you from the top of my head. And I'm saying to you that this happened because I chased improvement. And so you don't want to just sit back there and hope for the best. You work it out. That's what precision is about. You keep pushing for improvement. You keep trying so hard to ensure that you get the value that you have longed for. Okay, so I'm going to give you something that I believe will be like more or less like a challenge for you this week, because next week I'm going to come with another great content for you on mastery, but today we're talking precision. So let me just read out what I have for you today. Now, before we meet again next week, I want you to do this practical challenge for me and for yourself, by the way. Before every important conversation you would have this week, ask yourself these 3 questions. Number 1, take note of this. Number 1, what is my key message? That's the first question I want you to ask. Number 1, what is my key message? Question number 2, right? What outcome do I want? That's the second question I want you to ask yourself. The first question is, what is my key message? Second question is, what outcome do I want? And the third question is, have I made my message clear and concise? Have I made my message clear and concise? So let's take the 3 questions again. Before you engage in any conversation this week, any serious conversation, first question, what is my key message? What is that main thing I want to drive home as a point? What is the thing I want my listeners to take home from this conversation? Number 2, what outcome do I want? Like, after this conversation, what do I want to see? I'm going to give you my practical example. And then the third thing, have I made myself or my message clear and concise? So last week I was in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, and I had a meeting. And so we're all in the waiting room. And I sat down, I said, these are people who are great people with quality, people that have a lot to offer, and we're all here. I can't just walk around and start shaking hands and say, oh, meet me, I'm Dr. Dorgbaa. No, I said, what is the best way to go about this? How do I connect with all these people? And boom, voila, an idea popped in my head. And what was the idea? Start a conversation. Just start a conversation that will rope everybody in and they will participate. And immediately I did. My key message was clear. I defined what I wanted to achieve. The key message was to ignite a conversation that will bring everybody into the bucket of having that conversation, and I did. The outcome for me, which is the second question you need to ask, what outcome do I want? I wanted to connect with everybody so that before we leave that room, I will have the contact of everyone in the room. They will have my contact and we'll build a relationship that I can leverage much later. And that was my second question. So what outcome do I want? And then the third is, have I made my message clear and concise? So the conversation I kickstarted, right, was so clear that it hovered around what was of interest to everybody, and everyone picked up the conversation and we began to engage. So at the end of the day, I achieved my purpose. In fact, this morning, before I did this recording, whatever time you're watching, before I did this particular recording, one of the people had reached out to me with a deal, and we had the conversation because the outcome I wanted, I achieved it. So this is something I want you to do this week. As you come to listen to this video, go over it again and then click the subscribe button below and also the notification bell so that you can get notification when I drop my next video. So let me wrap up, and I would like to say to you that we build discipline, we build intentionality, we build courage every single day, and you can just do that. And make sure that as you do that, you find that middle point where you know and you tell yourself, I've built myself better than I was yesterday, because precision is the watchword. I'll come your way again in my next video. Enjoy it. All the best. I am Dr. Emmanuel Dorgbaa. Bye-bye.